You're both charged with the crimes of Health and Safety Code Section 11357E. That is possession of less than 28.5 grams of marijuana on school grounds while school is in operation.
You understand that burglary is a felony?
Yes.
And you know what the jail time possibly could have been for you?
No.
No. Minimum of 1 year in jail. It probably would have held you until you were over 18 years old.
You both also were arrested for 2 felony offenses. You could be sent to a locked facility for a maximum of 3 years.
I've done it because a kid gave it to me and he said he wanted the money, so I just tried to get it off fast before I get caught with it.
Just thought, they wasn't really gonna miss it. Like, they see this basically every day.
I had a house burglarized. It's interesting, this is bringing up emotional stuff, and it was so long ago, I can't believe it.
You finna be 16. You got 2 more years under the authority of juvenile. If it wasn't for this program, you would be in jail.
What can you do to get back to your family, Bubba? Because you know it hurt us too. And you got a little brother too, right?
How can Gabriel keep little brother from getting into, well...
Like his multiplication tables and adding in.
Help him with math?
Yeah.
Why don't we put that on the plan, and I can just say, are you doing that? Did you do that this week? You know what I'm saying?
One of the things I'm hearing is there's no trust. So what can you do to rebuild trust or start to rebuild trust with your family?
Well, the first thing that I would ask if I did something to somebody is ask for forgiveness.
I was trying to back out. It was a mistake. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay.
So an apology
accepted.
Well, what would that look like, actually?
Let them know how I feel about just trying to rebuild the trust.
Okay.
Let them know how I feel about losing it and how I want it back.
For the victim, you wanted to write a letter. So when can you get that to me? Like next week?
I can have it to you by Friday.
So here's what's gonna happen. Friday, I'm gonna be expecting it. You need to have it by Friday.
Dear Ingalls, it was wrong of me to enter your home without your permission, let alone without you being there. I just want to say I apologize for doing so. You're probably asking why did I do that? Because I was just trying to get money so I can get clothes, and I apologize. I really do.
Yeah. I think your letter's good.
I have another box we can start checking off work to get my
Raise up?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that say fantastic?
Yeah, excellent, superb, and fantastic.
That's gotta feel good.
I did. I felt great.
Yeah.
When she wrote that, I asked her, come check mine, and then she came over and looked at it, and then she just wrote it down.
Yeah. That's how you wanna keep feeling. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. Mr. Charles Brown, here's your certificate from Community Works. So congratulations.
Congratulations. Mwah. I love you, Mom.
All right.
All right.
Good evening. My name is Yejide Nkobia. I am the program manager at Community Works West for our Restorative Community Conferencing Program. This is Ellie Erickson. She's our finance director at the program. Thanks for having us here this evening. So I've been working in communities in Oakland for almost 10 years now, and the population of youth that I work with is pretty much like the young man that you see in the video. And what I've learned in working with the youth for all that time is that the kids are not bad kids. They're actually really great kids. They make bad choices. What I've also learned is that as adults, we make bad choices too. We're making bad choices when we continue to incarcerate youth and expect a different outcome from that process than what we've been getting. So we need to do something different. Community Works West has been doing work in San Francisco County for 16 years. The work that they do is with incarcerated families, communities, and individuals. They are committed to helping to make a difference in those families' lives. It's important that we have work like the work that's being done at Community Works, because in the United States we have 2.2 million people who are currently incarcerated. That's a 500% increase over the last 30 years. And of that population, we know that a nice percentage of the beds that are being filled by juveniles, or being filled by youth that are coming out of detention centers in our state and in our country. We have to do something to stop the stream of kids that's flowing into those beds. In the United States, we incarcerate our youth 8 more times than they do in Great Britain, 18 more times than they do in France. In Oakland, between 2005 and 2012, more than 14,000 youth were jailed. That's not great, that's awful. But what's even worse is that 79% of those youth, almost 80% of them, were African American, even though they make up just 29% of the population in Oakland. So what we've been doing isn't working. We need something different. What is that something? Well, we've been doing it at Community Works West, something called Restorative Community Conferencing, and you saw an example of what that looks like there. It's kind of grounded in the restorative justice principles that ask us to change the way that we consider justice, to look at justice not the traditional way as something that asks the question of who did or what the offense was, who did it, and how should we punish them. But it asks us instead to be restorative, to look at it and consider who was harmed, what that harm or that need was that came out of the harm that was done to them, and whose obligation it is to repair the harm done. The restorative community conferencing really embraces that concept because it actually keeps our youth it keeps our youth in the communities, and it keeps us as a whole community deciding on the fate of these very important and valuable members of our community. Now, we have been doing this work for 2 years, and we have had more than 200 kids in our program. We have had an amazing success rate with our program. Of the nearly 159 who've completed, we've had an 11% recidivism rate. That's 11% of the kids who've been through our program have actually had any contact with the police 6 months out from completing the program. That's compared to the 75% of kids who recidivate in our state juvenile justice system. It's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. We know that the program works because the youth say that they have never had an opportunity to sit down and hear how what they did affected other people, how it affected their families, their community, the victim, the person that was harmed. We know that it works because we have the victim who says that they didn't understand kind of all of the things that these youth have going on until they sat down in the conference with them. And we know that it works because the victims also say 99% of the time that they would refer a person to our program and they would also repeat the process. So it's something that's working, and it's something we need to bring to scale, and we need help to do that. Ellie's going to talk about what that is.
Thanks, today. We started our program a little under 3 years ago with funding from the Bureau of State and Community Corrections. We got off to a bit of a rocky start. We had a tough time establishing trust and credibility with the agencies that we rely on for case referrals. But now that we've been able to demonstrate tremendous success, as Yejide just mentioned, the cases are the floodgates are open, and we have more cases than we can handle. Mostly due to the success we've been able to demonstrate, 7-fold decrease in recidivism rates, and at a very fraction of the cost. It's normally around, a conservative estimate is around $88,000 to incarcerate a juvenile for a year, and our program is around $4,700 per youth. We have the proof that we need, and now we're ready to take it to scale. Demonstrating our success on a larger scale will help establish the RCC process as a viable and prevalent alternative to sentencing. We are ready to help even more kids stay out of jail and make our community safer. In order to do this, we need your help. Our ultimate goal is to have RCCs written into city budgets around the country. Until that happens, we need support from the community. Your support will allow for us to increase the number of conference coordinators, double the number of youth that we serve, and expand our facilities. The idea that repairing harm to the person that you hurt is not new. What is novel is that in our city right now, the government leaders are beginning to view restorative processes as something that could be formalized in the justice system. They see that juvenile incarceration is not working. Juvenile incarceration is the biggest predictor of adult incarceration. We have found a solution that keeps kids out of jail, repairs the harm to victims, it saves taxpayer dollars. Help us demonstrate the impact of this model so that it can be replicated around the country. Thank you.
In the advocacy process as well to formalize this approach in the state or in your city?
We have another program that does a lot more advocacy. The RCC project is just the direct service provider, but Community Works in general does have other programs that are working to change policies. Basically, the bottom line is we need the governments to actually have a line item in their budget to fund us.
Fantastic. And in terms of this next step, you said it's doubling the number of youth that you would be able to serve.
Mm-hmm.
What comes next after that? After do you triple? I mean, how do you see scaling happen? How do you see growth occurring over the next 5 years?
At that point, we'll just publicize our success and hope that it catches like wildfire around the country. I mean, it really is an amazing program that saves so much money for government. So the idea is that it would be a model for replication around the country.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. I have a question. I'm not sure which one of you will answer this, but what exactly is it that you think that you are imparting to these young people that will last beyond the time they're involved in criminal justice? I think that that is what is really important. And how can you define it and can you measure it, what it is that you're giving them?
I think at the core of the process that we take them through is this inclusiveness that we have, where we're bringing all the stakeholders, all the members of the community that have any say or any have been affected at all by what the youth did into the process. I think that the whole thing is transformative. From the time the youth actually connects with our coordinator and begins the process of owning what they did, they have to admit what they did. They have to be ready to do that in the conference. To the time that we actually get them into conference, and as you could see there, they sit and they actually have to hear from the other participants, their family, the community, how what they did has actually affected them. So in that moment, there is definitely the beginning of a transformation. I think empathy comes in there. A lot of things that the youth has never experienced, and we know this from the evaluations we do at the end, where they talk about the fact that they never thought about how their action actually affected all these different pieces. I think beyond that, it's being able to provide the services that may be needed to support the youth. We have that piece in our plan where we actually refer them to different agencies to help them to deal with whatever issues may have come to our attention during the process, during the time that we're working with the youth. So all along the way, there's a care taken to trying to make sure that after they're done, they have the best chance at maintaining kind of this new lease that they have in this process of not being pushed out of the community, but being kept in the community and being given an opportunity to make things right, and also being given the support that they may need to sustain it over time.
Okay, that leads to my second question, which is talking about, I think that individual sustainability, I'm going to call it, for the person is important, but also after the funding stream, if you get a funding stream after that ends, how are you going to continue a greater program? What's your strategy for keeping that going if you don't have a stream of funding anymore?
Beyond
the
that?
Sustainability of the program that this funding would help create, yes.
Yeah, it's basically bridge funding until we can get written into the budget line items of the city. Yeah, I mean, it's because we are saving the city so much money. It really it will be advantageous for them to take on this. But you didn't mean the individual youth? You meant the program itself?
No, my first question was about the personal,
The sustainability of
right.
youth.
But my second question, and always when you are an organization that gets grant funding,
Yeah.
one of the things you always are asked is, how are you going to
Yes,
sustain
what-
this after we're
what's-
gone? And
yeah,
that was
what kind of
really-
vacuum does this create? When it's,
Yeah.
yeah. We have a lot of different various funding sources. We have city funding. We have this district attorney in San Francisco as a funder. Google.org is a funder in partnership with Ella Baker. Akinati Foundation, and then our big government contracts with the Bureau of State and Community Corrections.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.